Hello, everyone. I am so excited for the special episode of Plug Into Devin. I've got with us today Jacob Dunford, who is a longtime LGBTQ advocate here in Utah, BYU guy, and now Chief Operating Officer, I think, for Encircle. We're thrilled to have you. Jacob, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. I'm
Yeah,
glad to be talking with you.
great to catch up again. We've been buddies for a while, and I'm thrilled to have you on the show. So thank you very much for making time. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about suicide prevention and Pride Month and all things LGBTQ.
Excellent. Well, uh, you know, there's nothing more important than trying to protect life, right? That is just sacrosanct, right? Life is sacrosanct. We need to remember that. And it is tragic to see the number of LGBTQ youth, especially in Utah, that have been killing themselves over the years, especially recently. What do you think the key interventions are that we can do to help youth be safe?
Well, I think there's a lot of crisis tools out there for when you're in that moment of crisis, like the Trevor Project. But with the work I'm focused on, and I think that is really helpful is, that prevention work. What can we do before you reach that point where you're suicidal, depressed, isolated, and experiencing anxiety? And I think the biggest factor is having a family unit, however you define that, that's rallied behind you, that's your advocate. All the research shows that when you've got a supportive family, it's going to decrease your likelihood across the board for risky drug and alcohol use, suicide, and just everything. So and any work that you can do to bring the family behind you is powerful.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you suggest people do to bring their families along? This can be challenging for people, especially for people who've grown up with a different framework, a different view. Oftentimes, that's correlated with a religious training or upbringing. How do you bridge those gaps?
I feel like education is going to be key over the next 10 years here in Utah. What we're having right now in Utah today is increased depression, anxiety. There's a lot going on in the world. It's Pride Month. It's a different type of Pride Month than we've ever experienced. And what we're seeing is an influx in every category. And to your question, how can we bridge those gaps? How can we bring people together? It's by building spaces and events and businesses where, regardless of how woke you are on a topic and how much you know about it, you're welcomed into the conversation and you're given a space where you can safely ask questions and educate yourself. And I think a lot of allies in Utah today want to show up for the LGBTQ community. They just don't know how, and they're so worried to offend somebody.
Yeah. It is so vitally important to these discussions. Do youth struggle still to come out to their parents? It seems like that continues to be an issue.
I mean, in my work today, I get to see hundreds of folks come out every month. I've got the running joke, no matter what's going on in the world, people are still coming out and the need is still there. I think what's unique about today's situation is a lot of our middle school and high schoolers that are coming out of the closet in today's Utah, what they're coming out into is a different Utah than we've seen for any other queer person before, in that I feel like this Utah is ready to embrace the LGBTQ community overall. I feel like we've got a more welcoming, a more safe, and a more affirming community than we've ever seen. And I think it surprises most people how beautiful Utah's community really is.
That is wonderful to hear. So what you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm asking the question. It's better now than it was, say, 5 years ago.
Absolutely. I think it definitely has gotten better. When you're in the thick of it, I mean, I think if we were interviewing somebody who's in the thick of coming out, maybe it feels a little more hard, and everyone's experience is individualized. But net positive for sure here in Utah. We're seeing progress across the board.
That is encouraging. That is encouraging. And of course, your work as an activist over the last 5 years has played a key role in making that change possible. What are the other things that have contributed to that?
I feel like I mean, we've got the work of Equality Utah here in Utah, where they're up at, the legislature advocating for not only the LGBTQ community, but anyone, any minority. And their work is amazing. We're seeing things at the national level, like, just recently the Supreme Court ruling, where we're seeing added protections for the LGBTQ community in the workplace. Little victories like that along the road go a long way to let folks who are 12 living in Ephraim, Utah, know that there's a place for them in the world, and that who they are and how they identify is valued by a lot of people.
That's phenomenal. Jacob, I'm so sorry we've got to wrap this up, but before you go, tell us, what is your superpower?
Superpower. I would say my superpower is I can go on really long runs and take conference calls the entire time.
That is a superpower. I wish I had that ability to superpower. I have a hard time listening to a book while I'm on a conference, while I'm running. So, Jacob, thank you so much. Before you go, tell people how they can learn more about what you're up to and how they can connect with you personally.
Yeah, I mean, my socials are at Jacob Dunford, but if you're wanting to get engaged and support the LGBTQ community here in Utah today, I would suggest getting behind Encircle at encircletogether.org, or the Utah Pride Center, or Equality Utah, whatever fits what you're wanting to advocate for, and donate $5 and then show up and volunteer.
Fantastic. Well, Jacob, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. We wish you every success in helping Utah's youth survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Devin, for having me.
All righty. Let's be bold together.
I'm Devin Thorpe. For the last 8 years, I've been working full-time to eradicate extreme poverty, improve global health, and fight climate change. I've concluded that the best way for me to continue my work is to run for Congress to represent the people of Utah's 3rd District. In Utah, we have common shared values. Those things unite us. I believe passionately in our ability to come together, and I believe that working together, we can solve Utah's problems. I'm Devin Thorpe. I'm a Democrat. I'm running to represent the people of Utah's 3rd District.
I'm Devin Thorpe, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.